You know what I find interesting? I've uploaded 388 videos on this channel so far, and this is my first collaboration video. I definitely need to do more of these. Welcome back, friends. Mark here with my good friend Brian Fullerton. Brian, thanks for stopping out to my house. It's probably like 12:33 in the morning.
It's a little late.
And I'm really like flattered because you got to hang out with Stanley Dirt Monkey today in Muskegon. And I thought with you coming here afterwards, you might just not be quite the same. Might be. So I appreciate that you still have the energy and the excitement to come hang out with me here. And we're going to talk a little bit about some lawn care, and some of the questions I want to talk about are going from part-time to full-time. So I don't really have experience ever doing full-time lawn care.
Sure.
I have done part-time lawn care, and these are some things I want to ask you, because so when you started out, how can you maybe say a little bit about if you were able to get a lot of lawns at once? Did you take over somebody's account, or did you, how did that work?
Well, that's a good question. It's really interesting because I've actually been asked that question a couple times now. Like we had a podcast that we did once and somebody had asked that story, and it made me remember kind of pulling teeth when I got started, right? It wasn't pretty, it was actually kind of ugly, right? So back in the day, I was actually working for TruGreen. Do you guys have like fertilizer company, TruGreen?
Yeah, we do here.
So I was working at TruGreen back in the day, right? And literally, that's how I kind of made my little decision to go into lawn care full time. I was fertilizing for TruGreen, great company, it was a great experience. But I was just fertilizing along one day, saw some lawn care guys pull up, and literally they cut the lawn in 20 minutes, probably made, let's just say 25 bucks, 30 bucks, right? And here I am in a stinky fertilizer truck, making $11 an hour, not really enjoying myself at all. Back in the day, they still probably do this, but you have to wear full pants, full long sleeve, right?
On a hot summer day.
On a hot summer day.
Sweating like crazy.
Yep, because you're dealing with the chemicals, rightfully so you got your PPE. And literally these guys were hanging out in, gym shorts, t-shirts, and, just sunglasses and hanging out. So I literally said, I can do that. I did it as a kid. I can totally buy a lawnmower and do that. I had no idea that it would turn into what it is today. No, not even my wildest dreams, right? But what I ended up doing that following season was going very part-time, working for TruGreen about 2 days a week. I had purchased a commercial lawnmower, an Exmark lawnmower back in the day.
Your turn?
It was actually a walk-behind. It was a 48-inch walk-behind, had a fixed deck, got literally baptized by fire by the whole program. Literally my attitude and mindset was I cut grass when I was a kid, right? I'm 19, 20 years old now. How hard could it be? I actually called up a lot of the same customers back when I was a little kid, and I said, hey, I'm cutting grass again. And they're like, fantastic, we've been looking for a reliable person. Since then, yes, the business has gotten a lot bigger. But back in the day, to go full-time, what actually happened was when I was cutting grass, the season I was going to come back and work for TruGreen kind of part-time while cutting grass part-time, the TruGreen company replaced me and my truck with a different driver, a new guy. So literally they didn't have a place for me at the company. So I said, well, I'm supposed to be in that tanker truck. I was just kind of doing this part-time, and they basically said, well, you don't really have a position here anymore. Really awkward situation, obviously, right? So this was in like early March. So I had about 6 or 8 weeks to hit it as fast as I could. So for the next 6 to 9 weeks, I literally passed out as many flyers as you can imagine, knocked on as many doors as you can imagine, and I just hit it as hard as I could because I didn't really have a back door. I didn't have really anything else to do, so I went all into lawn care. So that was kind of in a Cliff Notes version how I got started.
So did a lot of the people, like the neighbors, like were those like, is that how it expanded, like getting those people? Did they see you out there? And
a little bit of both. Friends and family, of course, and then referrals as well. And as you guys know, if you do good work, that can spread pretty quick. A lot of people are just miss the boat on just being reliable and just being consistent, I feel, in our industry. So yeah, it just literally started spiraling. We got one neighbor who got the other, and we were a little bit more aggressive. In the beginning, we had referral programs, which really helped. So hey, get your neighbor and we'll give you 2 free cuts, stuff like that. So little programs like that made a big impact.
For me, I put an ad in the grocery store, and it's funny, just also one person called another person, and I was in a neighborhood, and then like the neighbor next door, they want it cut, then like the next neighbor, and next thing you know, in this cul-de-sac, like
got a little route.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So sometimes it just kind of grew in a organic way, not even really trying, but people coming over. Okay, this is my other question, talking about that. Have you ever been so busy where someone said, like a neighbor, hey, could you start cutting my yard? Have you ever had to turn anybody down because you're too busy and you can't actually take it on?
That's a good question, and none of this is rehearsed or scripted, by the way. That's a good question. The short answer is absolutely. That's basically been the last 2 years of my business. I am not really expanding on anything I don't exactly want. In the beginning, you get your business started, you're just grasping for straws, you just want everything, right? Your route is all over the place, and this is talking lawn care landscaping, but it can almost be in any industry. You're just all over the place. But then the older you get, the more you want to be precise, focus your skills, your services, your offerings, whatever you're doing. So now we're at a point where if I'm not cutting the neighbor to somebody that I mow, I'm not interested. Because we have folks that live literally a quarter mile down the road, and they're like, hey, can you cut my brother, my sister, my cousin, whatever it is? And literally I turn them down. Because it takes more time and energy for me to go even 20 minutes across town, 5 minutes across town. I'd rather just do the neighbor for the same price, or even a little less, but have that route density and that productivity. So we're just crushing it on productivity. We have very, very tight routes with what we do, and that's something I really pride myself in. Our whole business, we have a couple hundred clients, and we're within, I'd say, a half-a-mile radius, and that's no lie, that's no hype or anything like that. So
that's a nice tight route.
We literally, we drop the gate in one sub at 8 in the morning. We'll cut 20 to 30 lawns in that sub. We'll pick the trailer back up at about 3 p.m. I don't get off the mower, and I don't put the mower back in the trailer for 6, 7, 8 hours at a time.
Wow.
Yeah, it's nuts.
That works great.
Yeah.
So there's probably been some customers where now you're like, oh, I can't believe I went there and mowed that. Like I can think of somebody, for me, for instance, it was on a crazy, busy city road, and it was like on the side of a hill, and there were all kinds of people, and like to try to find a place to park was impossible. You had to park way down the street. And I just remember like doing that grind and
like, what am I doing here?
Yeah. So
I can feel you. We have some customers like that. If they're particular, and again, when you get started, you got to take all this on. Right, you got to make a living.
Right.
But
you're hungry.
Yeah, exactly. You got to be hungry for it. But the older your business gets and the more established you are, you always prune. You're always taking in that bottom 10%. People that are late payers, people that are just giving you a hassle. They want always that little bit extra, stuff like that. Now it's to the point where I'm going through the great purge in my business, where I'm getting rid of so many people. It's not even funny, because we're attracting so many new clients that I'm not hungry for it necessarily in the means of I need it. Now I'm taking on what I want. And when you start that relationship from scratch, we start at a higher price point, a higher expectation, and the customers are way more chill, and the bottom feeders are just getting pruned left and right, and now the business is becoming way more flexible, way more hang loose, and a lot more profitable. So that's always exciting.
Have you ever had anybody that wants to just pay a check each time?
Yes.
And likes to talk a long time, like so you're trying to be polite, but I can think of a story, someone, and she's like, I just want to, I want to mail it, I just want to come out and write you a check, because she's a retired person, lived by herself, and then she'd start telling stories, and she would start writing the check, and
but not give it to you,
and it just, I'm like, okay, keep going,
finish it up, or put it in your hand, and you're like, one of those,
so I got another one. It's getting dark. Just wondering, has that happened to you?
I call those, I know exactly what you're talking about. We've all been there in the industry. I call them a cut and a conversation. My cut and conversation people. Again, you start with those people, but there's two tactics there. One, you can always drop them, but if they're a valuable client, you don't necessarily want to. But one, this might be off the record entirely, but one thing that I do is I don't turn my equipment off. So literally, like, there's no opportunity. I'll give you a part 3 as well, or a third tip. But number 2 is I don't turn my equipment off. So when they want to hand you a check or cash, I leave the trimmer going, the blower going, the mower going. Or I don't even take it off if it's a backpack blower. And I just go, I'll catch up with you in 2 seconds. And then I just kind of like, you don't want to be rude or short, like you say, because it's a good paying customer. It's a good client. You want to be nice and keep that image. But you know what? Your time is money. Let's just be real.
Right,
you know?
yeah.
So
yeah, after you're there like 15 minutes, you're like,
literally,
that's
30, 40 bucks
are just
flying out the window, especially if you got employees, which leads to point number 3. My guys know, and I borrowed this from a friend, by the way, but we have a little tip or little trick that we do where if somebody is getting snared by somebody, like we're getting sucked into a conversation with a lawn customer, the other one knows that we have little hand gestures that we'll make behind our back, which we'll wave, which means you need to come get me. So my other buddy says, hey, there's a phone call in the truck, you need to take it. And then I say, hey, Mrs. Brown, I gotta get out of here. It was great talking to you. What's that check? Let me get that really quick. And then we're back in the truck. And then literally you get back in the truck and you're like, dude, you just saved my life. And they know, because we know who's the talkers, that we interject and we pull each other out. And that way nobody's the bad guy, but then you're back on the road. That one right there will put thousands of dollars back in your checking account and productivity, I tell you that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I've only done lawn care part-time, so
sure.
I'm trying to squeeze it in on my time off, but I'm not hustling like, all these lawns every day. So sometimes I find a little bit, I enjoy talking to people. Like, since you've been here, we've talked for like over an hour.
Yeah, we should have had the camera rolling.
I've been told I have the gift of gab.
Sure.
So and I think you probably do too. So we just
think so.
So when you start talking to people, it can be interesting.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden you're realizing that you're
30 minutes later
losing dollars. So
absolutely. Yeah, I mean it's one of those things you got to kind of weigh it out. When it's every third time they want to have a 30-minute conversation. I've had to tell customers firmly sometimes, like just a couple of times. I'm like, hey, me and my guys, we get paid trading our time for this money right now. We have to keep moving, and most of them are respectful. They get it, and of course you try to be polite and respectful. But yeah, that's a good one.
Okay. How does it work when you want to have vacation time in the summer? Can you take vacation time, or do you have to wait?
That's funny.
Because I go off for a week at a time, and I try to I'm like 3 weeks ahead of time. I'm looking at the dates.
Yep.
Say, okay, if I mow this place, this,
sure.
and it doesn't rain, and everything aligns perfectly,
yep.
that I can mow like the grass that it's like super irrigated and grows like a foot tall
yep.
in like 5 days. So I try to manage that the best, but is there a way that you can?
That's a good question. I don't think anybody's ever asked that one to me, at least on camera or anything like that. There are two-part answer. So part one is we do have some flexibility being self-employed when we can mow lawns. Most clients, we tell them every 7 days is usually when we're going to do it once a week, obviously Wednesday to Wednesday. But we do have the opportunity where we can cut that lawn a day early or a couple days late. So we always give them a range, anywhere from 6 to 9 days a week, we'll be cutting that lawn. So we can always pull those lawns forward a day. Let's say it's a Friday cut, right? So I can do all my Friday lawns on a Thursday, which gives me Friday, Saturday, Sunday off, right? And then we can also do the same thing on Sunday, or I should say Monday, we can move those lawns to Tuesday, which gives us a 4-day weekend. Okay. Outside of that, those are like 3-day weekends, right? I call them. But outside of that, the 7 months that I got, you're here to make a year's worth of income, I crush it. And I've always told my wife, and this is a fact, cruises are actually still in season in December, January, and February. Just because it's cold where you live and it's miserable. So,
is it possible to, like, if you had like a family member getting married and you had to fly somewhere, you're going to be gone for like 7 days in the summer, there, like a real close, is there?
Well, my brother is getting married this summer in Mackinac. So we're going to go take probably 4 days, the same thing, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We might even stretch Monday as well. We'll have to bring all of our lawns forward, and again, we hustle, man. So that Wednesday or Thursday, we'll bring those lawns even forward 2 days, and we'll cut 70 lawns in a day.
Wow.
Like we'll crush it. I'll pull all my guys, we'll pull friends and family, anybody that's moving, that's not tied down. Hey, we'll start paying them good money cash, and hey, we need you to help out. There's been many times when we went to GIE, the days before we cut 70 lawns on that Monday, Tuesday, and then we had Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We were in Louisville. You were down there. It was a great time.
Thursday.
Yep. That Saturday, Sunday when we came back, we cut 70 lawns that Saturday and Sunday.
Wow.
So literally, so I went down there, no sleep, because we were cutting lawns. Went to the GIE. It was crazy. 72 hours. Yeah. Oh my God, it was nuts, right? Hanging out with all of you guys, and then that Saturday, Sunday we came back, and literally, it wasn't vacation. It was coming back to work. It was 70 lawns in 2 days.
That's insane.
And then by the way, Monday we started all back over again.
Is there a way to work with somebody else that's in the business to cover for you?
Sure. Some guys
I'm
do
going to
that.
kind of segue a little bit into my next question.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm sure you've had like a zero turn or when your mowers break down.
Yep.
So these are the options I came across. The dealer who's no longer here, he finally retired after many years, but he used to always have a loaner that I could sign for, I could take it out.
Sure.
There's another place here, they will give you one to demo for like the day, but they won't like let you keep it for like 3 days or 4 days. Yeah.
Right.
So in a pinch, like I have 2 people I know that I could call and they could probably come in and sub for me. So I'm wondering
that's
if
that's a good question.
If that would work like with a vacation or what how have you had to scramble like when like your bread and butter mower, goes down. The main one goes down. Yeah.
That's a really good one, and I'm actually going to do a video on this in the future because that's a good. I'm going to do a video on contingency plans, and it's stuff that I've learned over the years of what you can do in situations like this. For a mower, everywhere is different, of course, but my dealer, they're a huge blessing in my business, and I wouldn't operate the same way if I didn't have them backing me up. So dealer support, we always talk about dealer support is everything, right?
Gotta get you in and
gotta get you in, gotta get you out. Well, our dealer Weingart's over in Farmington, Michigan. It's a great dealer. They have a 0 downtime policy if you buy the lawnmower protection program, whatever you want to call it. So it's about $300 or $400 a year. And basically, it's great for solo owner-operator guys like you and me. So if my lawnmower goes down, I think the rule is if they can't fix it on the spot within an hour, they'll give you a demo. They'll give you a loaner.
Nice.
And then I'm pretty sure you get to hold on to that thing until your unit is done. So as a solo owner-operator, here's my 2 investments out there, right? Have $10,000 sitting on my trailer as a second lawnmower, probably doing nothing for me, right? Or I can have a $400 investment into this downtime protection policy where if anything does happen, yes, I'm still out parts and costs for the repair, but realistically it's a drop in the bucket because I don't lose a week worth of productivity where I could have made $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. So if your dealer has something like that, it might sound like a lot up front, an extra $300, $400 for that protection, that insurance, whatever you want to call it. But in the grand scheme of things, like you said, not only could you lose a couple $1,000s in work that week, it's the long-term effect as well, where what if you have customers that cancel? What if there's people that you can't do?
But then the lawns all of a sudden start growing so tall.
That's a whole nother.
You're taking twice as long to mow them.
Absolutely. Yeah, fuel and labor and all that jazz. Yeah, absolutely. It's everywhere is different. Outside of that, there's buddies that I'll call as well. I'm like, hey, just can you help me cut my lawns? And maybe they'll get done at 4 or 5 and they'll come over. And you know what? Even if you have a second guy helping you trimming and blowing while you mow, that can still speed up your operation. Cut it in half. So yeah, something to think about.
All right. So this has happened to me quite often, like just running into other guys that are mowing, or even a guy that was like out delivering. It's like, hey, you mind me asking how much you get for this?
Yeah, I get
that. How do you respond to that? Do you have any objections to it, or
I'm pretty open.
Throw it out there, or are you kind of nervous they're gonna try to come in under you?
For competition?
Yeah.
I'm a pretty open guy. At my business, the level where I'm at in business, and by the way, we're not big time or anything like that. I'm a little picky and choosy with what I want, but I have no problem telling people what we charge. In fact, I know the rates with most guys charge because most of my customers already have shopped around. So like, Mike over there is going to cut them for 20 or 18 or 35. So I already kind of know what most guys are charging. By the way, you can also tell based on their rig, typically what they're charging. If they have a really beat rig that's a little busted, more than likely, right? Some stuff that's getting worked on here. You can tell that they're probably running a smaller outfit with cheaper prices typically. Now you can't judge a book by its cover, of course. But sometimes you can tell that, hey, that's a larger company, obviously they have larger overhead, and they're probably charging $35.
Yeah.
But everybody's different. I always tell people that want to ask pricing, what should I charge for this? And as you know, it's different regionally.
My next question, when you're running a crew, how does that work? You have like 2 or 3 guys and you're running like a backpack blower, a line trimmer, a zero-turn mower possibly, or a rider or something?
Sure.
How does that work? How do you organize, like when you pull up to the customer's house?
Sure.
Does one guy stay on the line trimmer for the majority of the time? Do they rotate? Do you decide? Do they decide? Or they just
Generally,
like the first one to grab it is how does that work?
Generally speaking, I'm on the mower just for liability issues. You know, most of my guys are 19 and under. You know, so I like to make sure that they're safe. They don't know what they don't know, but they're getting trained. This year, I'm totally transitioning where I'm going to have my guys in the mower, me possibly trimming and just kind of overseeing the jobs, and probably more selling. So I'm going to have 1 or 2 guys running full time. But when I'm running the business, I'm on the mower. My second guy is going to be trimming, and then we both end up blowing the lawn clean at the end. If I have a third guy, I'm mowing, another guy's trimming, and usually another guy's edging and then blowing. And literally by the time I'm done mowing, my guy's done trimming, and my guy that's blowing should be done, and my trimmer guy will help finish up blowing, and by then I'm already on to the next lawn. We literally, I'm probably the most surgical person you've ever met doing lawn care landscaping. Maybe a lot of you guys are out there like me, just a number crunching. I think we're both number guys. But it's 8 to 9 minutes to cut a lawn where I live. These are 3,500, 4,000 square foot lawns. Nothing too crazy, but it's 8 minutes and we're done. I mean, with route time, we don't have any. It's like 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes. So most guys, like literally, we're cutting 4 or 5 lawns an hour, no problem. And sometimes we have 5, 6, 7 in a row, and it's up and down, up and down. And yeah, we do try to transition guys out. If my buddy's trimming, the other guy's blowing, we'll swap them out or whatever, so nobody's back is getting crazy. But you also got to think about it. These guys, we're doing it in bursts, right? So we're doing 5 minutes of kind of hard labor. They're back in the truck, shuttling the trailer, jump out, 5 minutes of hard labor, they jump back in the truck.
So you get a little break.
Yeah, so it's not like some of these guys who I really feel for who have a stick edger and they're doing an apartment complex. And they're out there for 7 hours.
What about like a cemetery?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, dude, some of these guys, I feel for them. And if that's the case, be the foreman of your company and go ride the mower. So, climb the totem pole. I don't know what else to say, but yeah.
When you mentioned numbers guy, there's a lawn that's pretty good size, and I often had like this Timex Ironman watch. And I'd get out there and I'd time it, and by the time I get to a certain spot, I would try to find the best way to cut it and be the most efficient, and I always wanted to get there by a certain time. That's and that was my record to try to get there faster. So
I know,
time is money, like we were saying.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I learned that the best tool in my business was a stopwatch. Literally, like we have an old school click stopwatch, and this is a fact. My wife's shaking her head behind the camera because it's a fact. I know it's 14 seconds down on most of my lawns and 14 seconds back. I know it's 8 to 10 stripes in the back, so I can look at GPS and Google Maps and look at the size. I can measure it out with like really simple tools, do the square footage, and I can literally measure based on lawnmower lines 3 homes down based on satellite. Okay, there's 6 lawnmower lines in the backyard. Do I do this? I absolutely do this. And I can know exactly how many mower lines on one side, how many on the side, how many in the front. The trimming is always the same. It's 4 minutes. And literally, like that's 8, that's 12. If they got 2 trees, it's $2 more. So I don't even have to look at your lawn. That's why my voicemail, it says, thanks for calling Brian's Lawn Maintenance. Please leave your name and number and the service address. Because by the time they call me back, hey, I'm at 123 North 1st Street, I've already have your whole lawn looked at from a bird's eye view. Might be a couple obstacles. I always say, hey, if there's something crazy, we'll call you back. And it might be a price adjustment when we swing by and do an estimate. But dude, you have to be surgical. Your time is money. And everything that's non-productive is costing you money. And that's how some of these guys, they're driving around all day, with all due respect, versus mowing all day. And it's a very big difference. And that's the guys who make 35 grand a year, and there's the guys who make 135 grand a year. It's really not that complicated once you get serious about being productive. So a stopwatch.
Just that whole tip was great because I never really thought about that. Like I said, I just do this part time. I can usually go out there and kind of eyeball and guess like roughly what it's going to take. But the science of it's pretty amazing. It's a great.
Well, I mean, they most lawnmower pamphlets now, they tell you the percentage and the breakdown at 100% capacity, at 80% capacity. So you can, I mean, you guys have a larger acreage out here, so you can almost figure out, hey, if it's 4 acres and this mower gets 4 acres in an hour, you're in an hour, but you're overlapping a little bit, so you might gain, you might lose, but you can usually get that down to a pretty good science. Yeah, so that's a good secret.
That's a great.
I don't know if that helps you guys, but it helps me. So
one time I didn't do this, but I thought, well, maybe I should say I'll mow it once at this rate and then see how it works if I can do it at a certain time and then agree to it after they let me mow it once.
See, it's interesting in the spring, of course, you're not going to be as productive. Everything's wet, everything's growing. So you have
it's thick.
It's thick. You're going to be having to double cut some spots and you might be off 10, 15%. It doesn't really matter because in the summer, you're way faster. right? And the people always say, well, it only takes you 8 minutes to cut my lawn. And you know, in the summer, I'm like, yeah, but it took me 12 or 13 in the spring, or 20 minutes in the spring. And the same thing in the fall. I'm like, hey, they're like, oh, it only took you 10 minutes to cut my lawn. I'm like, yeah, but it took us 20 in the spring. So
trust me, you're paying for it somewhere.
You're still paying for it. It all evens out. You know what I mean? As long as they don't cancel by summer. No, I'm just kidding. You know, those are the good months. Those are the lawns, the days where you can do 35 lawns by 2 p.m. and make $800 to $1,000 a day, and you didn't even break a sweat. And we're done before the sun's even really beating on you. So.
Okay, I'll probably wrap it up with one more question. So in the fall, August, late August, it's really typically dry here in Michigan.
Sure.
And you go up to the lawn, and it's like completely burnt, and it hasn't grown at all.
Yep.
Can you, like I see like a lot of the commercial ones here, they're still mowing them.
Yeah. I actually don't have any, but this might be a surprise or a shocker, but again, I'm 10 years into this, so don't think this is overnight. But by the way, you could start this way. I don't have any lawns that aren't irrigated anymore. So over here where we're at, there's a lot of acreage. Of course, you're not watering 1 to 2 acres typically. Now, if you do, that's awesome, right? Where I live, we do typically 26 mows straight. And in fact, I don't take anybody on who it looks like a project, right? So anybody whose lawn is dilapidated, they're not watering, if they're cheap, you know, stuff like that. I get a pretty good litmus of people just on that first phone call, you know. So for me, I have regular bills. I want regular income. Right, I have regular overhead, it doesn't change. My banks don't care that the money I borrowed if the lawns are dried out in August and September, right? They tell the story to somebody else, right? So I learned pretty quickly, about 4 or 5 years ago, to transition away from lawns that are more project. And by the way, there's a reason some of those lawns are left on the table, because the bigger companies know the same thing. They have regular bills, regular overhead, they want regular revenue, regular income, regular profit, right? So the bigger my business gets, the more I had to mature my mindset about who I was taking on as a client. I didn't want everybody. Again, it gets down to being surgical. So not only do I know that it takes 8 minutes to cut that lawn, I know I got 8 minutes at 26 weeks. Right, so I know exactly that my customers are watering because we don't leave any revenue on the table. I don't believe in the philosophy of ghosting lawns. I don't believe in the philosophy of just mowing to mow them, right, when it's a hayfield.
Yeah.
I think you do, if you had to, go bi-weekly. If you have to, go every 3 weeks. You're gonna make that money back long-term by treating the customer right and doing a good job, and that means keeping integrity, and that's a big thing. Now, I know you got bills to pay, and you gotta make rent, and you got this other stuff going on, but it doesn't mean it comes at the expense of your customer. It means you go on the back end, you get another 100 flyers made up, and you go hustle and go get more clients to pay for your overhead. You don't try to cut corners and cheapskate your customers. That's not cool, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, that's good advice.
Yeah.
Well, that pretty much wraps up what I have to say. So I'm going to have Brian's links down below, and maybe you'll tell me one of your videos that we talked about, so we can. You know, we'll put a couple links to check them out.
We should do this again.
My hands are really cold. We're in the garage here. It is February, and I think today is like
6th? Between the 6th and 9th.
It's like 10 degrees out today.
I have no idea.
So we have a little heater going, but. So I didn't mention this before, but Brian and I are both in the Echo User Advisory Group. That's where we met last year, or actually, last April in Lake Zurich.
Yes.
Yeah, because we're just now in 2018.
Going through
April 2017, that's where we met, and
it's been awesome.
Yeah, and we both are YouTube guys, have a lot of time on mowers, and so yeah, I'm sure we'll probably. We both have some drones that
we'll talk in the future.
Yeah, you might see some other videos with us.
I'll be back. That's
pretty soon. Got to warm up a little bit.
If you guys haven't, by the way, subscribe to this guy's channel and the Rich Chance that you haven't, make sure you do, because this guy has got it going on. He's a good buddy of mine already, and we're just gonna keep getting to know each other better. So make sure you guys subscribe to his channel if you guys are new. It's definitely a treat. So I appreciate the time, brother.
Can I plug your other channel?
Yeah,
definitely. Hey Liz, you mind? You wanna?
We might lose a little credibility here. You can tell we like to have fun, right?
So I met Liz at the GIE last October.
Hi.
So your channel is...
What's our Party of Two.
FPO2?
Yep, FPO2 for short. And it's just a back end of our life as business owners. In addition to our lawn care business, we own a few other different things and have a few other side projects, and it's just...
behind the scenes. It's keeping up with our crazy adventures. Whereas two blondes tackling the world, what could go wrong, right? So yeah, let's.
So you don't work for any business. You're both entrepreneurs, self-employed.
Yep.
And
living the dream.
Yeah.
She's got her handmade business. She makes farm signs and sells them on Etsy and other places, and they're taking off. So you're, but you help me.
I wonder if I can find room back here for one.
We'll make you one.
Sure we could.
We'll get you one, absolutely. Friends and family discount, right?
Yes.
No, I was kidding. So, no, this was fun. We'll definitely be back and we'll have to do this again sometime. So, appreciate the time.
All right, friends, so if you enjoyed this video and all the great advice that Brian gave, please give it a thumbs up and help support the channel. That's it, friends. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
Bye.
If you like this video, I think you might like the other videos over there to the right. So please click on those. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, hit that button down below as well as the bell icon so you can be notified when I publish videos. And if you want to see what I'm up to throughout the week, please connect with me on Twitter and Instagram. All right, friends, enjoy.